There we go. Hello, everyone. How are you? It's Tuesday, all day long, all night long. Well, half night. So, how are you? I trust your world is going well, and that, hey, we're here, and I've got like six things going on here at the same time. So I'm, uh, you know, texting and driving. I hate that all the time. So, how are you? Seriously, it's so good to see everyone. Welcome, everyone. Man, there's a lot of people in here. Um, Good to see you. Peace. May you live long and prosper in all dimensions and in all realities. Hello, Joshua. How are you? Alan, good to see you. Wendy, Cheesecake, how you doing? Hello, Lois. Mary, good to see you. Franny. Vicky, good to see you. Maria, Truth Seeker, hello. Material Classified, Lost in Space. Eric, how are you? Universal One, good to see you, my friend. Knowledge Seeker, as we all should be. And Hypnotherapy Pixie, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you, my dear? Deborah, good to see you as well. Kaz, how are you doing? Sherry, hello. Skies above. And Emperor Rex, wow. Joe, how are you, my friend, as well? Well, Sherry, Nina, man, there's just a lot of people. So let me just invoke favor, favor of, well, of all kinds. Before I went on, I was defining that out in my head, when I think of you guys and, I speak favor over all these broadcasts. And, in my mind, I began to look at all the subroutines and, what kind of favor would you like? Well, I don't know. You could be as simple as having the favor that every time you pulled up to a grocery store or a store or someplace where you have to park, that you would always get the best parking space. That's favor. How you can be standing in line and you're like the fourth person deep, right? And they come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, here, sir, I can help you right over here. And there you go. Favor, like when you go, if you travel, so often they'll pull people when they're hitting overflows that are not, in this country, TSA pre, where you don't have to go through all that. You get to go through the pre-line, which, I do. So, but yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of favors. So, and prosperity. I'm going to teach more on this. I know these principles, folks, they work. And if you have lack in your life of any kind, it doesn't need to be that way. The universe is not stingy. The universe is not running out of wealth. It's not running out of resources. Much to the chagrin, I think, of those who would say, but seriously, I mean, if the earth can provide you with all the air that you need to breathe all the days of your life, then it's just as well to be able to produce for you the things that you need. So, prosperity and full restoration of all those things that have been stolen from us, lost from us. I mean, people have betrayed you, lied to you for gain. How many have betrayed your heart? When you really loved someone. All those things that began to add to the collateral damage as you walk through life. So may that restoration come to you in full abundance, nothing missing, nothing broken. So there you go. Hey, I mean this stuff. Was going to do a show today, but something came up. I'm sensitive to the synchronicity, particularly how you folks so often email. And I got 3 emails in a matter of 14 hours. And so we're going to focus a little bit on something that I hadn't planned. And so the title of the show today is The One Thing. And I'll let you know, I was surprised about this. I read this out of, I know it was out of MIT, and they have come to determine where algorithms, artificial intelligence, logic, rhythms of algorithms as well, they have found AI can understand a lot of things. AI understands spirituality. Imagine that. It gets that concept. It gets a lot of other subroutine subtleties of the thinking brain. But the one thing that they have not been able to, AI just doesn't get it, is humor. Humor. AI doesn't get the thing of a joke. They've tried to emulate it, write it into subroutines, and it doesn't get it. And it got me to thinking that, well, we're seeing AI take over everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere, folks. I got a story that, I did the story yesterday on the prisons, and trust me, it's coming here. They'll have sensors, probably already do. They just don't talk about it. That you won't have to have a human guard. You could have one guard technically, watching, well, you never would have to watch because AI is doing it. 40, 50 prisoners at a time. And it's coming. It's already here. You and I are already living in a digital prison. Anyway, it's true. It's true. And they don't get the whole idea of humor. And, I think humor is right there. It's the twin of joy. If you have joy in your life, most likely you have humor. And humor, by the way, is what they call a prime indicator of higher intelligence. So think about that. And yeah, the thinking machine, that's what it is. Nick, you got that one square on. So, hey, let me just wanted to share a few little headlines with you. We get this whole thing about how the weather is changing. Then you have those incidences where, well, you just ask people, what were they thinking? So check this out, folks. Here you are on your weather is, and there we go. Uh-oh. You talk about being at the wrong place at the very right time. There's a tsunami coming, and I have the sound down because, well, these people are freaking out. The ones that are filming this is like, run, Forrest, run. And, surf's up, baby. And here it comes in. I mean, yeah. One of those things that you go, that isn't where I wanted to be. Just weird. How about this one? I guess everyone saw this. Let's see if I can. The water spout. This is in Malaysia. Yeah, it doesn't look good. I don't care what anyone says. Water spout. I mean, a minute when it hits the ground, that's now a tornado. Look at that, how it actually just whooped right up over that building. Yeah. Strange weather going on, folks. Real quick, here's another one. Fastcompany.com. Facial recognition is coming to hotels to make check-in easier and much creepier. Ladies, gentlemen, So I used to be a road warrior, and racked up the frequent flyer miles. I knew, I know hotels, and I don't like the idea that there is a sensor. You could call this HAL. Remember 2001? Dave, what are you doing, Dave? Ladies, think about this. I mean, the story goes on that now you're going to check in. You won't ever have to even deal with another human being. They have your complete biometrics, facial recognition, which is now shared through the TSA and NSA. Delta already started doing it this year. United is doing this as more and more airports come online. You're not even going to have to show your ID anymore. Literally, you will not have to show. I'm, you know, TSA pre, but so they've already got my biometric information. But this, folks, is where it's going. And this is the digital electronic prison, what we have actually built ourselves. And we call it convenience. I mean, think about it. Your hotel room, you're actually going to be able to have voice activated for room service, any type of, maid service. You'll when you check out, it'll be the same thing through. You can already do this now. I check out through a mobile app. Don't even have to see the front desk at all. In fact, very rarely. But this is a new level, um, folks. This is the kind of stuff that when you begin to read this, um, well, I don't see how it's not. Now, tomorrow, there is a big announcement. I believe it is tomorrow. Yes, the European Southern Observatory. They said that it's next week, excuse me. The rumor is they may have actually captured the event horizon. Wow, we haven't done that yet. All this and all the drawings that you see and images of black holes are artists' conceptions, computer algorithms, determining in a law of percentage of what it probably looks like. So this is going to be really cool. If they have, in fact, caught something on the event horizon, folks, this could really get interesting. And by the way, this is normally when we would do Talking with the Planets, this on a little hiatus. I keep on thinking what they told us. And these planets, you can be a doubting Thomas, that's fine. It's everyone's prerogative, but the transcripts, you read them, they've all been posted. Yeah. All right. This one I had to talk about because, I have been talking about a sapien summit of a different kind, but look at what's happening here. So the tech giants know Congress is coming for them. The archaic dictatorship, the trashing of Americans' constitutional rights, guaranteed to us in the Bill of Rights as well. These tech companies are also profiteering off of us individually where they should be paying us. These are the things that I know are floating in Congress, and they know it as well. Trust me, they got their lobbyists buying off all Congress people they can. And it's just the way it is, folks. Re-election's coming. So anyway, so they took the initiative here of saying, all right, we've got to come together. We're getting into some things now where we're not just talking about, well, our business model. We're really talking now here something on a level of moral ethics, morality. which is laughable when you think of Google and Facebook and the rest of them. Really? Morality? Anyway, so Google appointed an external ethics council to deal with the tricky issue in artificial intelligence. The group is meant to help the company appease critics while still pursuing lucrative cloud computing deals. Well, guess what happened? In chaos. Not AI, the humans. This is on Bloomberg, by the way. Yeah. One of the things you learn about when people criticize you is always remember the imperfect is trying to correct the imperfect. That's perfect. So we talk about AI. AI is in our cars now. They now have the ability to shut your car down at any place at any time. They can literally take possession of it. So think about this. The cars that have the autopilot feature, Tesla's one, others are testing it. Yeah. So the hackers, all they have to do is put a tag on your car. I knew a company years ago when I was doing a lot of investment presentations and got to meet a lot of cool companies, a lot of great technology. And there was a guy that had some really cool technology, but I could really see where it could be potentially used for something nefarious. But yeah, so they can actually trick the car into moving in the other lane. Finally, folks, what the hell is going on with Russia? They're flying over the United States right now. Apparently, we can't stop them. I hope we're doing the same. That's their latest spy plane. There is some kind of weird, I don't know, clause in a treaty. But this one has been caught flying over military installations in California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, yeah, Area 51. Kind of makes you wonder, what is up with this? I keep telling you, folks, something ain't right in a lot of what's going on here. Countries building up military weapons. I mean, we're about to deploy 30 new, and I forget the class of destroyers. I've seen them. Did a lot of business down in San Diego for a while, and always loved renting a boat and going out there. And these destroyers they have, they're high tech. I hope they work. So something is going up. I don't know. It's weird. I'm telling you. So gotten a lot of emails on people asking about healing. There's a lot of people that write that are facing challenges. And one of the things that when you're sick, the word disease literally means divided peace. When your peace is divided, you have no peace. And the thing is, regrettably, is the pain these bodies can actually generate. My near-death experience with meningitis and Lyme disease. Yeah, these things that they're putting in the air. I can tell you when I came down with that, came out of the coma, there wasn't a term, fibromyalgia. Didn't exist. That was in 94. And it just didn't exist. Didn't even know what that meant. But um, the thing that I learned when I came out of the coma, I was paralyzed on the left side of my body. And it's like I said, I'm lucky to be alive. And thank you, Dr. Sevilla. If that woman hadn't been in the emergency room, and with her medical training, she had gotten her medical training in the Philippines. And just to tell you the story here, a good friend of mine, I was dying. I was literally dying. I had over 105.5 fever. I had already fallen into dementia. When you got that kind of raging fever, things get a little weird. And a very good friend of mine took me to the hospital. I lived in Knoxville at the time. And when I got there, um, I was conscious for about the first 30 minutes or so and fell into a coma. And as I later learned about the story, they were going to literally drill into my head to relieve the pressure of the brain. Brain was swelling. And Dr. Sevilla, never, if she hadn't been there, she was listening to the conversation, because they didn't know, they didn't know what they were dealing with. And she said, this sounds oddly like spinal meningitis. And they went, what? Anyway, long story short, that's how they started this. So my point when I came out of this, I learned something that she taught me, because she also took some of her culture. And one of the things I always remembered her telling me, and I went through about a dozen lumbar punctures, spinal taps. Don't recommend them. You ladies who've had childbirth, if you've gotten an epidural, you know what that is. So anyway, the one thing she taught me was frequency, that you can literally re-stimulate dead nerves. And back in that day, the technology was still evolving, and she got me a TENS unit, and it was a box, but and literally the electrodes look exactly like electrodes, but because it took me 2 years to recover from that. Lo and behold, within about 2 to 3 months, I had started to regain, as she said, remarkably, more and more nerve functionality. And so I am a big believer in something that many of you who have all sorts of things, arthritis, circulatory issues, a whole host of ailments. We got a couple of them. This is one. This is a portable unit, a TENS unit. I take it on trips, so does Lynn. And this one is so cool because it's literally, as you can see, it's just a little tiny box. You can see it fits easily. The wires and the electro patches all come with it. And when you're on a plane, or even in functions, I used to attend a lot of conferences, and you can have a TENS unit, and it's remarkable what it will do for you. It's good for healing. It's good for regenerating nerves, muscles. It helps definitely in the circulatory flow. We have a couple of them. One I'd also recommend, Walgreens has them. These are a little larger, but something that if you can begin where nerves are concerned, re-stimulate them, and there's just a whole process. We're going to get into it. Frequencies. I'm a big believer in frequencies. I know they work. In fact, I practice what I tell you folks. We found a company that actually sells to the consumer an ultrasound, ultra frequency device. This is the most remarkable instrument. You have to read it. You have to be careful with it. You don't want to get it up around the neck area. You don't want to get it around your heart, but in other parts for kidneys, stomachs. This is a remarkable instrument because it uses sound and frequency, ultra high frequency emissions, and it works. And it's kind of why I know when we talk about having the ability to immerse our bodies into frequencies. I contend that Wi-Fi is doing dramatic harm to our bodies. They'll never say it. And, world today would stop if it didn't have Wi-Fi. And now we're going, to 5G. We're really going to make it on steroids. And there's so many people today that are suffering from odd ailments, body aches, many, how shall I say, thought malaise, malaise of the body, a feeling of always being tired, many cases just beyond the normal stresses of the day. But stress is everywhere. In some cities, including this one, I happen to live in the most healthiest county in the United States. Could you imagine that? So anyway, that's the great thing I can say about where I live. We got voted as the most healthiest county in all of the counties in the United States, but you can see the level of stress. It's everywhere. Road rage is becoming now almost like the gladiator games. Here in Colorado, there are many incidences, people pulling guns, It's how many of you ever saw that movie with LA Story with Steve Martin? He played the wacky weatherman, Harris Telemacher. Yeah. And so him and his girlfriend are on the highway, and all of a sudden there's a news flash. It's 104. It's open season on the 405, and everyone's got their guns. I mean, that's where it's really coming to. I have seen petite, what you would think are just gentle grandmothers, and I have seen it down to the age of 16 as well. I mean, learn how to fly you the bird. And you go, okay, little tense there, aren't we? So these devices I showed you here, you can buy them. The TENS units are pretty reasonably priced, but I highly recommend them. They're wonderful. You learn how to set on them in the right settings. It's my wife and I use them all the time. It's massage therapy in a way that uses, both ultrasonic and electro shocks. That's what it is. And so, I did a program a while back that talked about frequencies. dealing with healing. And it was part of this research that my life experience before I actually knew the research, the science, and the theories behind it. You know, a lot of people will still say, well, this is theoretical. I don't think so. I mean, we are electrical beings. Our brains are electromagnetic. The electromagnetic brain, brought to you by Glaxo, anyway. And here's where I contend this, ladies and gentlemen. A species came along, a predatory species, realized the functionality of our brains from our ancestors way back when, and began to manipulate our brains through the use of simple, nothing more than frequency. We now know this to be a fact. If you look at how your brain takes in data, you look at the visualization, the subroutines of your brain look at light, colors, images. We would call that motion. Actually, I don't know if you realize this. There is no such thing as motion. It's literally, we can't see the perception, but it's literally small capsulations of time. Now, if you can time travel, maybe you can circumvent that. Sonification, audification. Very powerful for our brains. I learned to play a number of instruments very early in life. As hard as life was, destiny taught me very early the beauty and the science of music, of learning how to play an instrument. Started out with the clarinet, went to the bassoon, played the saxophone, and you learn how to read music, you learn how to write music, and it carried very well over into the other cognitive areas of my development, mathematics and science. When you looked at the tactile stimulus, the haptic that really kind of gets us as to what makes us unique, and then all the way down to our smells, the pheromones. And it's a remarkable thing of what we have. Now, there have been many theories. Some scientists have begun to look at this. Many are saying that a lot of the ailments that we're seeing today, asthma, bronchitis, neurological diseases such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Listen, I can tell you for a fact, this is not hype. This is not hyperbole. This is fact. The epidemic of what I could say here in Denver, but it's everywhere, of Alzheimer's, new type of dementia diseases, reducing cognitive associations with memories, motor skills, is on the increase. And the ages are going down. Something has changed in our brain. Now, some say it's through the nanoparticle that we inhale. We all know that they do skim the skies. I mean, anyone that doesn't believe that, well, just walk away. When we begin to look at the circulatory system, the other organs, the lymphatic systems, this is where all cancer gets distributed through, is your lymphatic systems of your organs, all of them. That's how cancer is spread. And we've talked about this before. You look at the ingestion, and these bodies are fine-tuned machines. You start mixing with the elements that it needs to repair itself, to exist. you begin to change things. And we talk about stress and emotions. Most people that suffer from digestive issues, most likely there's a stress there, an unstated one, most likely. But today, I've did stories on how the 20-somethings are dying of heart attacks, arterial sclerosis, diseases that doesn't make sense. More 30s and youngers have gastro diseases than in any other generation at any other time. The number of liver, gallbladders increasing. Stomach, spleen, pancreatic. The pancreas alone, that cancer continues to spread, increase. And if you can't digest your food, that starts a whole chain of reaction. Because if you're not properly taking the nutrients of the raw mass that's coming in, then you start a whole series of problems. And all of these are all associated with stress, emotional distress. And when we begin to think about how the body responds to sound, frequency, science has shown that it works. There are scales that you can learn, practice. You can transmute the energy inside. Listen, I used to be a real stickler. I used to have a personality that was extremely strong. And the intellect many times was my own worst enemy. And for a very long time, I allowed my emotions to rule my body. And never understanding why I could never keep at that peak performance that I demanded myself to be at. And now I'm quick to see it. Now, here is to show you what a signal function generator can actually do. We're learning now that through the use of electrical impulses and sound, our bodies will heal extremely quickly. Broken bones healing faster using the device that I just showed you, which is based off this technology here. It works. Again, if you study this, most people go through life never knowing their body. And what I mean by that, they take it for so much for granted because we have this thing about these bodies. They have this autopilot, autofunctional. You don't have to think about breathing. You breathe. You don't think about having to, well, it will certainly let you know, but when you have to get rid of the waste. So many people don't even know where their liver is at. They don't know where their pancreas is at. They don't know where their gallbladder is at, their spleens. Their body is about as much of a mystery to them as their souls are. But when something goes wrong, then you want someone to fix it. like real quick, fix it. The martial arts, the Chinese, Eastern philosophies have known certain points on the body. Native American Indians knew as well. Medicine men, shaman, healers know that there are specific points on the body that when properly, with the proper pressure, proper time, length of time, duration, remarkable healings. I mean, the whole thing with acupuncture is really the modern day TENS unit, you could say. There is the law of vibration, it's immutable. The third of the 7 universal laws tells us that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The third and last of the immutable universal laws tells us that the whole universe is but a vibration. Science has confirmed that everything in the universe, including you, is pure energy vibrating at different frequencies. Folks, when you look in the mirror, you should be in love with what you see. You are, in essence, pure energy with a wrapping of the material matter. And each of us have our own frequencies, our own harmonics, so to speak. We can become unified in joining our frequency because we can do that with others, and it becomes much stronger. Everything that we experience with our 5 physical senses is conveyed through vibrations. The same applies to the mental realm. Your thoughts are vibrations. All your emotions are vibrations, where unconditional love, in the sense of love for another, is the highest and most subtle of all emotional vibrations, and hate is the densest and most base. You can learn to control your mental vibrations at will. You can. I purposely now, because, listen, I'm human. We like going back into old habits. Why? It's comfortable. But if you're ever going to promote change within yourself, well, then you have to immediately stop it. We know with the brain, we have delta, theta, alpha, and beta. All of these are associated with consciousness and subconsciousness. All reflect within the brain. We've heard about the Schumann resonance, the very earth itself. Our brains and the earth have a telepathic connection. The Schumann resonance is a fundamental mode of a standing wave in the Earth's ionosphere cavity with a wavelength equal to the circumference of the Earth. I don't know how to tell flat Earth is there, but here's the one problem. When you design a system that's going to orbit you, and particularly where I come from, the days of communications, we had to do triangulation to get a signal from Tokyo to New York. It had to be triangulated continually. Anyway, I digress. The lowest frequency and the highest intensity mode of the Schumann resonance occurs at a frequency of approximately 7.8 hertz. The ninth overtone lies at approximately 60 hertz, and thus the cavity is also driven by the North American power grid. Deductible overtones extend upwards up until the kilohertz range. We've known about this. The planets have told us this. This is what's really interesting. And you begin to realize that your body will respond to different frequencies. 2 hertz, 7 hertz, 10 hertz, 10, 15 hertz. This device that I have, you can actually set it onto this. This is not pseudoscience. This is not mysticism. This is a fact. A lot of people don't understand why sometimes they have ailments within their bodies, but they can certainly identify to emotional states of consciousness. If you look at the thing with fear, no willpower, low capacity for hard work, no endurance, you can begin to see this. Kidneys, urinary bladder, they're the first thing. The bones, people, I've often said that, there is a proverb that says, bitterness dries the bones. That's arthritis. Now today, who knows? Anger, lack of courage, you can go all the way up. Each have their different frequencies. Now, here's something. I have the ability, there's others there, that we can lay our hands on people and they can actually be healed. Now, it's not a religious thing. Religion unfortunately hijacked it. It's a natural ability in our species. It's in the gene pool. And when you begin to understand how we subject ourselves, like right now, there's a router and a server that's over here, and I have to literally put things around it, particularly because I don't want all that radiation. I actually have my radiation meter over here. And the thing about it is when you understand that our government has known how to manipulate us since the 70s, and they've been experimenting on us. Here it is right here. This is the patent itself. Steady tone near the high end of the hearing range, 15,000 hertz. You can't even hear that. Your dog would. You can see how even on short pulses of microwave signal at a frequency to which the human brain is sensitive, then the brain converts the train of microwave pulses back to the inaudible voice. There is no conscious defense possible against this hypothesis. Hypnosis, excuse me. Do they actually do this now? I don't know. We do know medical science. These are EEG. You ever had one? I have. Ask your doctor. Well, the way in this healthcare system, it's probably the insurance company. Well, why does he want to do that? But athletes, top corporate producers in cultures send their top executives to training, biofeedback. Star athletes do the same thing. Visualization, feedback, understanding how to control your brain. All of this is related. The more relaxed you are in your complete 24-hour cycle is going to lead to higher cognitive ability, healthier overall, and will add to the longevity of your life. And the reason why so many people have so many challenges is that they don't practice these things. Actually, you practice it all the time. You're just not aware of it. Every night, every time you go to sleep, there is a pattern the brain will start to follow. And if you can follow that with a thought, it carries over. This is how memory is done. I've done a video and just recently showing you how we now understand how the neurons work. And we're realizing something looks like they've controlled us from that level. So here you go. Thyroid, thymus, heart, lungs, liver, stomach, pancreas, colon, descending and ascending, small and large. Sometimes when I will, and we all do, you'll have, you've eaten something and your bowels become very much agitated. Irritable bowel syndrome, I don't suffer that. Crohn's disease is two of those that is increasing amongst young adults. That's a shame. Think about it. But I will put that ultrasound, set it at the right frequency, and it certainly takes the discomfort out. Again, it's learning how to control. If you look at top athletes, Olympians and top athletes in their field, I've known a number of them, and they all had the same ability. They had that mental discipline. Now, you can always see the ones when they break out of that, what happens, and it's always disastrous. All of these are the result if you can get this into balance. And I always say, find that frequency. I think Brian, Milky Way Weekly, finds be the frequency you want to be. And it's so true. Now, here's the other interesting thing. We never talk about this, and I don't see it too often really discussed, but look at the diseases, the different viruses, funguses, bacteria. Look at what they operate. Now, this is quite fascinating. It's led me to one of the, and I'll just tell you, I've got it in one of my drawings. Imagine if you could generate a machine, build a machine that you could actually find these frequencies specifically, and then begin to focus in to put the Trojan horse in, so to speak. But yeah, I always find that these, the worse, the more nastier the virus, the bacterium, the higher the frequencies in hertz. Look at that. Wow. So the whole brain, each part generating its own frequency, its own rhythm. In targeting weapons, and folks, they've got this. In riot situations, they use the LARD machines. And when you begin to see how you can begin to target this just by pointing a parabolic device. Electromagnetic fields have variable energies and frequencies. Even Earth has a natural EMF field. The heartbeat is an electrical impulse. The brain waves are electromagnetic brain signals. And when you meditate, the brain creates a stronger electromagnetic signals around 7 to 9 hertz called alpha waves. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that when a person becomes disciplined in their mental capacity is when you're going to start being contacted by the higher beings. They can't go low. You have to rise higher up to them. Essential oils. Many of you, I know, sell them. We could, I need to get more of you up there to see where people can be. And I know they're expensive. They can be, but, look at them. They all have a specific frequency. All of them. I've had good people who send me myrrh and frankincense, and I use it all the time, it helps. It does. I mean, I love sandalwood. To me, many of these, you can see the myrrh, the lavender, and the frankincense. The frankincense, by the way, is one of the best. Now, they say rose. Some of you ladies probably know that, folks, guys, as well. Again, we're finding more and more as to how it works. When you begin to look on the onset, they say that if we could learn to isolate certain, like flu, the rhinovirus, cold, cancer, all of them have a signal. Even death has a signal. Did you know that? Death has a certain frequency. There is a healthy range where you could learn to monitor your output. And if you began to see deviations downward, you would know something was wrong. The sooner you can catch things. Now, I put this one in here because this one shows what our military, they know it as well. And folks, your head isn't just shielding. It's not, man. I mean, we're immersed into this. It's amazing our brains work as well as they do. So anyway, I'll break it off here, but this is only half of this program, but there is other videos that I've done on this. You can go back and you can begin to look and understand that, well, we can, in fact, heal ourselves. We can heal others. I know people that I could see that they had the gifting and begin to teach them that they had the gift of healing. And it works. I believe it probably has something to do with our bodies knowing how to sense, because these hands are remarkable sensory organs. They're more than just feeling. You can feel heat, you can feel cold, you can feel electricity. And if you become sensitive enough, when you lay hands on a person, you can actually begin to sense that as well. My wife says that, when I lay hands on her, that she says there's this warmth that just begins to emanate from my hands. And there have been times where, she says, all right, I've had enough. Guess they get too hot. I don't know. But yeah. So folks, I hope this has helped. I was not even going to go down this road, but when I saw these other emails, I believe that there are better alternatives than always looking to a chemical solution by popping a pill. I think our bodies have gotten so out of whack that, remember, every prescription that you take is based on a complex chemical structure. You're ingesting that chemical structure that begins to interact with your particular strand of where that's going to eventually impact, alter, change. And remember, Big Pharma does not sell cures. It merely sells maintenance. As they say, they allow you to manage your disease. What? I heard one woman, we have a thing up here in Colorado, was Rocky Mountain Flats. It was highly controversial nuclear disposal place. And they talked to one of the workers there, and this poor woman had 63 diseases. 63 diseases. I mean, where do you start? Ay, ay, ay. You know, we all eventually die of something. Granted, I get that. Um, there is a way where you don't have to die like that. You can literally will to die. Literally. Very painlessly. I keep practicing that when my time goes, I'll go in my sleep. I mean, what better way to go? Woo-hoo. All right. All right. Thanks, folks. This has been fun. Thank you. I hope it helped a little bit. I mean, I don't like seeing people in pain. I know pain sucks. And, you know, when I have these flare ups, these are the devices that I try to go to along with essential oils. And I do burn the myrrh and frankincense. It's very lovely. And thank you for those of you who have sent that. And I appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, it's Tuesday. Great day. Enjoy it. Let's do this as a community. You know, I keep on saying we're getting there. Lois, probably just need you to send me where people can buy detox kits. And I say we all should just get a day planned, do it, and we'll bring a panel on here. We'll do some healing. We'll get Ruth, Kindred Spirit. We'll get others. Maria, there's a number of you folks that are healers out there. We'll get us all on at one time and we'll just do one big healing. Hey, the spirit doesn't know any difference between time and space, at least not the perception, I think. Anyway, all right, folks, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. And, you know, I really do appreciate you tuning in. This is a family. It's, what else do you say? Some of the most sweetest, brightest, wonderful spirit beings. Yeah, you know, we're all learning, all growing. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you. Peace, favor upon us all. We all need favor. Never can run out. All right. I am on the last part. You know, here in the United States, we have tax day. I will be getting in touch with John as soon as I get mine done. I don't know about y'all, but what? Anyway, it's like a marathon, you know, it's like, okay. So I digress. I know. I'll let you go. So be good. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.